This is a Subscribe Star recommendation video. Thank you to the Subscribe Star supporter who asked me to review this movie. It's from 1960 and it's an East German Polish sci-fi movie called, there are actually two names that the film had. These are the German and Polish names on screen. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce them, but it was released in English as well, and the film has gone by several names, according to Wikipedia, including The Silent Star, The First Spaceship on Venus, Planet of the Dead, and Spaceship Venus Does Not Reply. I'm going to go with The First Spaceship on Venus because that's the name my Subscribe Star supporter used when he recommended I review the film. As I say, it was released in 1960. It was directed by Kurz Maitzig, and it's based on the novel The Astronauts by the very famous Polish author Stanislaw Lem, who also wrote Solaris and The Invincible. In 1985, a meteor is found from another planet in the Gobi Desert. It also includes a spool of some kind, a flight recorder basically, and then there's a discussion about how this is linked to the Tunguska explosion of 1908. Scientists claim, with seemingly very little evidence, that that was a spaceship that blew up before landing on Earth. The opening few minutes are largely dry expositionary scenes establishing the events leading to the space mission. From a production standpoint, the sets, costuming, and visual effects are decent for the time. They're kind of in line with the likes of Forbidden Planet, something like that. It's got a recognisably 1960s look and a modest budget. The ship interior sets are very similar to something like Lost in Space. The crew also has this really goofy looking robot named Omega. It's quite cheesy and hard to understand what he's saying. Probably awesome at the time. So linguists interpret an alien message and they deduce that there's life on Venus. So a manned mission is planned to go there. They use the Russian rocket, the Cosmostrator, and this will be the means by which they travel there. It's a challenging flight to Venus with a meteor shower that causes some damage along the way. A scout vessel is sent to survey the landing site. They discover intense radiation, and the scout vessel is destroyed in an explosion, suggesting they're under attack. There's evidence of an ancient and highly advanced civilization on the planet. There's also some kind of insect creatures, which look an awful lot like they're bouncing around on strings. Turns out they're machines. Anyway, there's a lot of exposition about who the Venusians were, what happened to them, and what their motivations were. And it's all delivered in a very slipshod manner without very much evidence for any of the claims and theories that the characters are making. It's entirely speculative, and yet they commit to believing these theories without proof or justification. So it feels kind of like the writers are just using these info dumps to push the story along to the next plot point. They conclude that there was a catastrophe that took place on the planet, and they don't know what caused it. The crew investigates the planet's surface and discovers something that looks like a giant golf ball. They decide to take a closer look. They believe it's a power source. They find the remains of some structures, and inside, it looks like the operation headquarters that the aliens used to plan an attack on Earth, an attack that obviously didn't actually happen. The Venusians' technologies are still functioning, and the crew of the Cosmostrator are trapped on the planet due to the heavy radiation attacks from the power network. The system seems to be able to alter gravitational fields, so they have to work out a way to disarm the aliens' technologies and get the ship off the planet. Unfortunately, none of this is all that exciting, I would say. They find some kind of tech solution, but the gravity is reversed and the ship and the character of Brinkman are thrown out into space. I guess he dies. And there's a few of the crew members who are left stranded on the planet as well. The Cosmostrator heads back to Earth, and the returning crew members give the world a warning. They tell the world that the Venusians lost control of their technology and it caused a disaster that wiped them out. They also say that they should go back and colonize Venus and explore the other planets, mankind's destiny. And the film ends. Now, Stanislaw Lem, the writer of the novel that the film is based on, The Astronauts, he didn't like this film adaptation. He believed it simplified his novel too much. And I think that's probably the case. I haven't read his novel, but I would say that the film's philosophy or message is just a bit lacking in any kind of depth. I would say that the visuals at the time were probably very impressive to audiences, especially the planet's surface. The set design and the blending of special effects was commendable for the technology that was available at the time. But I don't think this film holds up the way other iconic sci-fi movies from the era hold up. The message is effectively a rather heavy-handed anti-atomic bomb warning, which was common in 1950s and 1960s sci-fi films. The fear that humanity is close to destroying itself. Nuclear annihilation, basically. The issue is that there's no real characters in this film. No one has a personality outside of the exposition that they're supposed to deliver, and one character's dialogue could just as easily be given to someone else, and it would make very little difference. But there hadn't been an awful lot of films like this at the time, and that's what makes it iconic. And it is a significant work, given that it's not a Hollywood movie, but a German-Polish-made movie with a multiracial cast, kind of like Star Trek, for example. This is a cerebral sci-fi film. It's very talky, and it tries to be a hard science story, which is fine. I can enjoy those kinds of movies. I will say that the lack of any standout performances or interesting characters does hurt this movie. It's lacking in any kind of heart or genuine emotion, and at no point did I feel anything or care at all as to what was going to happen to the characters. There's no real sense of suspense or tension because they spend so much time making unjustified leaps in logic as to what's going on and what they should do next. The events just feel arbitrary and kind of random, and the sense of danger never really lands. So it makes it hard to get invested in the story when it feels like character motivations and narrative beats are just made up as they go along. The dialogue is also quite poor, but to be fair, that may have simply been as a result of this film being translated into English because I watched the dubbed version of the film. I don't want to criticize the acting too much because, after all, I did watch a dubbed version, but the delivery of the voice actors is quite flat and makes the film feel a bit hokey, which was a criticism at the time. In conclusion, I'm not trying to be unnecessarily hard on this movie. Reviews at the time were mixed, with the film regarded as dull and feeling cheap, though the visuals did receive praise. Even though this movie isn't great, ultimately, I'm glad I watched it. I've watched a lot worse, and I'd never seen it before, and it is a piece of sci-fi cinema history. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell to be notified of future updates. Hit that like button. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.